Welcome back to SJG Perspective. Trying something new tonight. I'm trying to stream out using Restream to do multiple platforms at once. So we're going to see how that all turns out. Didn't mean to push this out to Facebook, but I am. So all my friends on Facebook are probably going to make sure they unfriend me by the end of this thing. Of course, we're not going to get too crazy political tonight. I'm just going to rip on a few things. So maybe, who knows? Maybe I won't lose anybody. Don't really care. I never go on Facebook anymore anyways. So anyways, good times. So it says bombshell audio email evidence, email evidence shows DNC colluded with Ukraine to boost Hillary by harming Trump, report says. I found this so interesting with all the deflections going on right now. And really, it's pretty clear. I mean, it's pretty clear that wherever, and I'm sure both sides of the partisan divide do it, but it's so evident right now that every single thing Democrats and those on the left are saying, from CNN pundits to MSN, mainstream media pundits to the politicians to the and everyone in between. Everything they're accusing Trump of doing, they're exactly guilty of. It's like it's the most obvious case of deflection, right? The obvious case of pot and kettle kind of ideology or scenario going on. Every single thing, like Hillary and Biden and Kamala and Ilhan and all the leftists and the Democrats are doing to Schiff and Nadler. And all of these guys, every single thing they're doing is or accusing Trump of doing, they are blatantly doing it. And I really think it's because they're worried that their roosters are coming home to hatch, or chickens are coming home to the eggs or whatever. They realize that this is, with the whole IG inspection and Barr and whatnot going on, into the corruption and the 2016 election and the interference, all the stuff they accuse Trump of doing is exactly what they are doing. So they are, or have done. And so they're trying to smear. I really believe it's more of a smear. I do not think by any stretch of the imagination that Trump is a choir boy, right? I don't think he is some total perfect beacon of ethical beauty, right? In some of the ways. But having said that, he is not the demon monster that everyone wants to make him out. All these sick stage 4, suffering with stage 4, Trump derangement syndrome. We think that was so cheesy, but it's so true now, where they just, Orange Man is bad. Every single thing he does is bad. There's nothing good that Trump does coming out. And when you Google any news nowadays, 90% of it has to do with Trump. Meanwhile, craziness is going on all over the world, from North Korea to China to Iran to Syria to, all over the place. And we're not focused on any of that stuff. By the way, why I just brought up some of that stuff, I am so pleased. This isn't really this, but I am so pleased that Trump is pulling us out of Syria. It is about damn time, man. That is so good. And it's so interesting to watch to show you really what the machine is all about in Washington and the swampiness that he and everyone always talks about. It's nonpartisan, man. It's so nonpartisan. Everybody wants us in war, it seems like. Republicans and Democrats alike. And it kind of makes you wonder, who's pulling the strings and all that? Who's pulling the strings and all that if everyone wants us in war this bad? Who's pulling the strings behind our policies and our politics and our foreign policy? Who's pulling the strings? Well, it obviously isn't our politicians. It's obviously the deep state behind them. And people will laugh at that. Some people will laugh at that and mock that idea that the deep state, the conspiratorial deep state, it's an absolute thing. It is not even... It's not even a joke anymore. It's not even a conspiracy anymore. It's a thing, and they want us in war bad. So I applaud you, Mr. President Trump, for pulling us out of Syria. Keep doing it and keep exposing. And I just really hope he does it. But anyways, let's get back to this for a second here. So a little bit of the stream it's in Stephen fashion, right, where I didn't really put my thoughts together beforehand. So we're just flowing with it. So that's just what we're doing. We're just talking. here. It says the Blaze has released an audio recording that they recently obtained that appears to show Artem Sitnik, director of National Anti-Corruption Bureau of Ukraine, admitting that he tried to boost the presidential campaign of Hillary Clinton by sabotaging then-candidate Donald Trump's campaign. So isn't this the exact thing the Democrats are losing their mind about, that they think Trump is doing right now? And there's audio tapes that this was done during the 2016 election, which we all knew, which has been suppressed in the news, which has been suppressed with all of this Russian, the Russian collusion story and all that good stuff. It was all suppressed and pushed down, and nobody talked about it. But the whole dossier that got this whole thing going, Hillary Clinton was the one who got that going, right? So we know that they were doing it, but nobody reports on it. Nobody's held accountable to it. But Trump does something, talks to the Ukrainian president, and he, in legal form, right, says, hey, check out the corruption that's going on. There's some stories about Biden we'd like to have some insight on that he did with the way he pressured the Ukrainian government to fire the prosecutor that was looking into his son, who we all know the story, had no business getting paid $50,000 or $100,000 a month, whatever crazy amount it was, to work for this company, that he had no clue that what he was doing. So hey, look into that, see what's going on with that. All of a sudden they're losing their mind, like he is planning with a foreign government to sabotage the 2020 election and the candidates of the 2020 election, when in actuality this is exactly what was done by the DNC back in 2016. Then the connection between the Democratic National Committee and the Ukrainian government was veteran Democrat operative Alexander Chalupa, just like the thing you get at Taco Bell. He had worked in the White House Office of Public Liaisons during the Clinton administration, and then went on to work as a staffer, then as a consultant for the Democratic National Committee, Politico reported. Chalupa, I love that name, was working directly with the Ukrainian embassy in the United States to raise concerns about Trump campaign chairman Paul Manafort. And according to Politico, she indicated that the embassy was working directly with reporters researching Trump and Manafort and Russia to point them in the right directions. So, again, we have documentation of this, much like we have documentation that Trump didn't do anything wrong on that call with the president. But forget the documentation, like in this case that's going on right now. Let's listen to the secondhand gossip girls, right? Let's listen to the CIA operatives that were put into the White House to basically spy on the president, to find some dirt or some grime on him, and then slam it out to the media, and then do another whole Russia collusion 2.0. But the Ukrainian Spygate, as we are now calling it. So this is what is what's been happening. And meanwhile, this is already we have actual documentation, again, implicating the DNC, but nobody's really talking about it. Nobody's really pushing on this. They're still trying to downplay this as a conspiracy. It's not a conspiracy. There's facts. These are the facts. You guys love to fact check Trump, right? And sometimes he needs to be fact checked, but you love to fact check Trump. Here are the facts. The DNC had a part in trying to literally recruit foreign governments to help them win the election. It just sort of backfired. It just didn't work out as planned. Ukrainian embassy political officer who worked at the embassy at the time, Andrei Telizhenko, stated that the Ukrainians were coordinating an investigation with the Hillary team on Paul Manafort with Alexander Chalupa, and that the embassy worked very closely with Chalupa. I love that name. They're probably doing that on purpose, but I don't know. The Blaze highlighted an email from WikiLeaks from Chalupa to Louise. Oh, well, we can't believe it is from WikiLeaks. Oh, I'm sorry, man. It's just because WikiLeaks drops the truth doesn't make it not so. Hey, a lot coming down the pipe. I spoke to a delegation of 68 investigative journalists from Ukraine last night at the Library of Congress, the Open World Society Forum. They put me on the program to speak specifically about Paul Manafort. I invited Michael Isikoff, Isikoff, doesn't matter, who I've been working with for the past few weeks, and connected him to the Ukrainians. More offline tomorrow, since there was a big Trump component you and Lauren need to be aware of that will hit in the next few weeks. Something I'm working on that you should be aware of. Can you believe, like, that this is what was being said? Yeah, exactly. Nick said, what do you mean he did nothing wrong? He spoke to someone. That makes him automatically wrong. Exactly. He opened his mouth. That's what he did wrong. So right here, this is information that was going from Chalupa to Luis Miranda at the DNC. And it's literally saying, hey, I got some dirt coming down the pike. I'll get it to you here. We'll talk offline and I'll get it to you. And this is nowhere to be seen in the media. The media is part of the cabal of propaganda. It truly is. I mean, this whole fake news stuff, when it first started being thrown around a year, 2 years ago, whatever it was, I was burned out on it. But man, and I was like, man, come on, I didn't know how I felt about it. I am so on board with it right now. I mean, I've always known the media is lying to us for the most part, but I really thought that was more designed. That term was more designed. And I think originally it probably was more designed to discredit, YouTubers and to discredit the alternative media that was coming out, because that's when the fake news hit. It was like, we need to only watch and only believe the mainstream, authoritative, as YouTube likes to call it, news sources. So fake news was planted, that term was planted in people's minds, in my opinion, to start discrediting all the alternative news coming up, because it's too hard to control. All these alternative news, and anybody with a webcam and a mic and a brain and can Google can start to find out, hey, wait, why aren't we covering these stories? And hey, this is a big deal. And hey, we should probably talk about this. And a lot of these guys have hundreds of thousands, some of them millions of followers, and they have a hell of a reach. So the mainstream powers that be, I don't know what you'd call it, the power machine of United States, the media machine, said we need to start discrediting these people and put a term out there. Well, it just so happens that Trump, being a master troll that he is, and the master at pushing back, kind of co-opted that and has now turned it around on the very people that it was originally intentionally designed for, or it was originally designed for to intentionally discredit. He turned it around on them, and man, the more that people debunk these stories and they follow up on these stories and they find out that this is all a bunch of crap, the more that people realize, oh wow, they really are fake. So where's all the coverage on this? CNN, MSNBC, Fox, all these other, because Fox, they're getting so bad too, to where you can't believe what's coming out of there. And they've always had their glitches. I've never been 100% on board with Fox. Really like Tucker Carlson. I love that guy. He's hilarious. I don't understand how he still has a position there, because he doesn't seem to be really quite part of the machine as much as everyone else is. But anyways, reading on. As I told you, it was going to be a bunch of ADHD thoughts bouncing off the microphone. The Blaze then reported that Sitnik, who eventually was tried and convicted in Ukraine for interfering in the U.S. presidential election in 2016. So realize this. The guy that was feeding information to the DNC, this is all fact. This is not conspiracy. You can go and Google this and look it up for yourself. The guy that was tried and convicted in the Ukraine, right, for interfering in the U.S. presidential election in 2016, released a black ledger on Manafort during the 2016 presidential election that eventually led to Manafort's downfall. So here he is. He is admitting to tampering with our elections, admitted to working with the Hillary Clinton campaign, Glenn Beck said during a 2-hour special presentation by The Blaze on Ukraine's interference in the U.S. election. He is actually convicted in the highest court in the land in Ukraine. This is all front page news in the Ukraine. While we are saying, was there anyone tampering with the election? We're over here saying, was there anyone tampering with the election? We spent 2 years on the Russia probe trying to figure out how Trump, if Trump colluded with the Russians to tamper in the election. We spent how many millions of dollars and man hours, and constantly it was just pushed. Rachel Maddow had, just every other word out of her mouth was Russian collusion. Meanwhile, it was front page news in the Ukraine, right? That this guy he admittedly was interfering in the 2016 presidential election. Only he was interfering, trying to take Trump out and boost Hillary. It just didn't work out quite like that. In audio exclusively obtained by The Blaze, Sitnick appeared to admit that he worked to boost Clinton by harming Trump's campaign by releasing the Black Ledger. Sitnick also essentially admitted that Trump was better for America than Clinton was because Clinton belonged to the establishment, while Trump's focus was solely on promoting America. And here's been part of my worry with Trump. I will be honest, and it's starting to dissolve a little bit. But I watched a documentary. It was just kind of some cheap little documentary on YouTube. Shout out to Island Bear. He was the one who turned me on to it, which basically was everything's a rich man's trick, right? And went all the way back from Nazi to in the World War II and the Nazis and all this stuff, all the way up through JFK. He spent the most of it on JFK, all the way up to 9/11, and basically just saying everything is a rich man's trick, basically, and it's all propaganda and it's nonpartisan, right? Right and left, they're all colluded. They're all in the establishment and the deep state and the military-industrial complex and the deep-seated, organized crime and corruption, like from, literally the mobsters to other organized crime. It's all interconnected, and they're the ones running it, and they own the media. And so this was an old documentary, too. They own the media. They use the media. They push the narratives. And so when I have kind of wondered, like, is Trump... I've worried. I'm like, is Trump is he also just kind of screwing with us? Is this all a dog and pony show? Is he all gonna, is it just a big psych op and he's really all part of it too? And I've had that in the back of my mind and worried about that in the back of my mind. I'm starting to really think he's not. I'm really starting to think he legitimately is pushing back, and that's why everyone hates him. Republicans and Democrats alike. There's a few Republicans that are in his corner when it comes to, certain policies, and then Lindsey Graham is bigger supporter as soon as he's talking about not going to war, like I talked about earlier, all of a sudden Lindsey Graham's coming out saying, oh yeah, Trump, this is a terrible idea. And then you have, McCain's daughter on there saying, this is so terrible, man, you're feckless coward if we get out of Syria and all that. Meanwhile, she's not picking up a gun, right? She's not picking up a gun and going over there and joining the fight. Everybody's all for war. And as soon as Trump's like, hey, let's pull back our troops. Let's get our troops out of Syria. Maybe Afghanistan. Kind of got them out of Iraq pretty much, but let's get them out of Afghanistan too. And then everyone was, you got to bomb Iran, bomb Iran, right? Speaking of McCain again. And Trump doesn't do it, and everyone says you're weak. And he meets with North Korea, right? And he tries to bridge some gaps with the North Korean guy, Kim Jong-un, or Il, or whatever it is. And all of a sudden he is, how could he be talking to this dictator? And, with Russia, in the beginning, he was really wanting to bridge some gaps there. And so everybody, when it comes to him not wanting to cause wars, or Venezuela too, which he postured up a little more in Venezuela than I would have liked. Luckily, though, he didn't pull the trigger and do anything. No pun intended. So anyways, he really has kept us out of war. He really has pulled back from staying true to his word there of not putting us in war. And everybody loses their shit about it. Everybody loses their mind that he is so weak. So it blows me away because he really is trying to stay true on his word and keep us out of war. And people, it's like Democrats and Republicans alike want us to go to war so bad. It's very evident. It should be very telling to anybody with half a brain. It should be very telling to you that that's a very interesting point, that he doesn't want to, get us into war. And so, and everybody else does. That should really show the cards of these Republicans and Democrats alike. To me, that's one of my hot buttons. We don't need to be in war, man. But anyways, so I am worried. I was worried that he really wasn't for America first. And I'm starting to really believe he is. And he really is pushing back on this establishment. And that's why everyone hates him so much. The media hates him, everybody, and they're trying to take him out because he isn't he isn't a puppet in there right now. And I thought he was I was worried he was going to be, if I'm being honest. And he's really proven that he's not. So knock on wood. Hope he keeps that up. I haven't watched this. Maybe we'll watch. Let's listen to it real quick and see what he has to say.
First of all, in April, former Prosecutor General Lusenko, the good guy, remember, that came in after the bad guy was taken out? He decides to give an interview with Ukrainian media. And in that interview, he makes a stunning comment. Quote, "I don't know how, but the Americans got an audio recording of Mr., how do you say his name? Sitnik, of his conversation." Now, that's the guy who ran the Anti-Corruption Bureau. He was resting with his family and friends now and discussing how he'd like to help Hillary.
So listen to that. He was running during the time the anti-corruption division in the Ukraine, this Sitnik. And Sitnik wants to help Hillary win and get dirt on Donald Trump. So is it any surprise to anyone out there right now that Trump wanted to make sure the new president, whatever his name is, Vladimir, whatever it is, wanted to make sure the new president was on board? That you're not going to be you're going to play ball with us. You're on our side, and you're not going to let corruption run your government and your administration. So hey, one of the ways that I want you to point this out, or one of the ways you can not help us, but one thing that we're curious about is this whole thing with Joe Biden's son Hunter. What was that whole deal? There's a lot of questions about it. Maybe you could look into that. Now, also remember, we have an agreement with the Ukraine. The United States with the Ukraine has an agreement that they share information, right? And it's completely within the purview of the president executive branch to ask any over the laws, ask any question to anybody that they want to. And so we already have an agreement with the Ukraine to where we can ask them for information, and especially doing with corruption. So what happened with Biden, and I'm not going to rehash this because if you probably understand it, but for those, maybe there's some people who haven't been following it. Biden bragged on camera, on stage, about how he told the government of the Ukraine back when he was in office that they were not going to get money. $1 billion or so was going to be withheld unless they fired the prosecutor that was looking in to the oil company that his son was on the board of, making $50,000 a month. Now, that, if we want to talk about quid pro quo, that is the definition of quid pro quo. And so that is what Trump's talked to the recent president about and said, hey, will you verify this? And can you look into this and see if there's anything you can get any information on this? Okay. Meanwhile, everyone loses their minds when they found out this conversation happened. Everyone was speculating that Trump actually was doing quid pro quo and was bullying this guy into helping him get dirt on Biden. Meanwhile, a whistleblower comes out. A whistleblower comes out, which a few weeks prior, the CIA changed the whistleblower standards, meaning that you had to have firsthand knowledge to be a whistleblower. Otherwise, you couldn't be a whistleblower. Well, this guy was like second or third degree removed, right? Serious, straight up gossip girl. So the CIA changed the whistleblower standards, and then a few weeks later, this whistleblower with secondhand knowledge comes out. And Adam Schiff, who was the, for the, whatever it is, the Intelligence Committee, Alan Schiff had met with, it is alleged, and there's information out there that he met with this actual whistleblower and may have helped or coached him in what to write in his whistleblowing. This is absolutely a smear campaign and a last-ditch effort to put dirt on Trump because he is going to kill them in 2020. There's not a candidate out there that can beat Trump, and they know it. So they got to take him down through the back door. Anyways, back to what Glenn is saying here. We have documented proof that Hillary and the DNC did the very thing, actually even worse, that they're accusing Trump of. So it's just mind-blowing. We're going to continue.
Huh. So the guy who is in charge of the anti-corruption, they caught him on tape talking about how he'd like to. Well, let me play it for you. Now, this is the first time, strange because it's been out in the newspapers in Ukraine. This is the first time that we know of that this has been translated by anyone in the media in English. I just want you to listen. Now, the speaker you're going to hear is Director Sitnik, and this is what he said.
Okay. What's up, Drone Tech? So we are about to hear what Sitnik, the director of the anti-corruption in the Ukraine, what he actually said back in 2016-ish time in regards to, Trump and to a associate of the DNC or a representative of the DNC. So let's listen.
Listen.
Я думаю, що так. Я ж йому теж не йому, а Хіларі допомагав.
Тоді ви там трошки шатнули, да.
Я це так пишуть там.
Ну, мені кажуть, що Хіларі погано було, не дуже.
Wow, Clinton Foundation.
Ну, я наскільки пам'ятаю, ви говорили, що для нас навіть не було ближче Хіларі.
Ні, Трамп же ж він чисто в нього внутрішні питання домінують над зовнішніми. А Хіларі це це із тих політиків, що вони гегемонія Америки в світі. Для нас це так лучше. А для американців лучше так, це те, що Трамп робить.
У нас зараз ці американські страховці, це баба, мужик.
Ми ж оприлюднили дані про Манафорта, якого посадили. Манафорт ж був керівник цього виборчого штабу Трампа. Його ж тоді це сторонили, зараз, в тому числі за те, що пропонують почати бухгалтерію, посадили там, що 80 років позбавлювали. І для Трампа барабан, тому що у них система працює чітко. І коли були вибори, за неділю до виборів, FBI поновили розслідування відносно Хіларі. У неї рейтинг упав на 7%, і Трамп натяжкою переміг. Я так не можу зрозуміти, що Трамп воює з FBI, і кажуть, що його доганяють. Якби не FBI, то він би не був президентом. У них Хіларі погасили рейтинг на 7%.
Wow, that seems pretty kind of wow.
It so clearly spells out exactly what was going on, and yet we are going after Trump. It's kind of a mind boggle to me a little bit, but it's just something, you know what? We should absolutely be more than aware of. McCain, something she's saying about Syria. So now we're switching over to Syria. We're done with all that impeachment crap. I know we'll hear more and more about it. It's a bunch of crap. Don't let it hurt your brain. This one here, listen what Meghan McCain has to say.
Been so mad this morning. So I'm going a little bit rogue, but I've been so mad this morning and so upset about this news that we are abandoning our Kurdish allies in the Middle East. These are allies of ours that American soldiers are still continuing to fight alongside. All we did was arm them, and they fought for America. And right now, we're just saying...
They fought for America? How did they fight for America, Meghan? We were not even supposed to be in Syria. We were not invited into Syria. There was not a declaration of war in Syria. We were in there trying to oust Bashar al-Assad, funding Al-Qaeda and a whole bunch of other, extremists and jihadists. How is it, Meghan, tell me this, how is it that they were fighting along Americans? We weren't even supposed to be there in the first damn place. I know your dad, who everybody licks the balls of and loves so much, was a complete war hawk and never found a war he didn't like. But here's the thing. We should never have been there putting our boys in that kind of harm for what? For the oil pipeline that Saudi Arabia wanted to run through Syria? For that? Is that why we should have been there? So we could oust the democratically elected or the elected leader of Syria? This is just mind-blowing. That this absolute see you next Tuesday wants to or wants to put our boys at harm and wants to say that we're feckless and we're cowards because we're leaving and it's so terrible.
We're just going to leave them and abandon them. And to every
And by the way, keep your eye out over there. Something major is probably going to happen, and all of a sudden we're going to have to keep our troops there. Just magically. There's going to be some sort of attack. Something's going to happen, and we're going to keep our troops there.
everyone in the White House and every Republican who was mad that President Obama pulled out of Iraq, you feckless, unpatriotic cowards. I cannot believe this is where we're at. Diplomatic line.
You feckless, mindless, gente. That's what you are.
And I cannot believe this is what message is this sending to our allies who have fought alongside us and to our American troops who have fought and died for this. And
For what? For what, Megan? Tell me, what have they fought and died for? What have they fought and died for in Syria? What are we doing in Syria? Do you think our troops are going to be more upset that President Trump's pulling us out, or that he put us there in the first damn place? Huh? That we're pulling out, or that we were there in the first place?
I cannot believe I'm waking up in the morning seeing this kind of news. And I don't care that he ran on pulling troops out. There's a whole different thing. We leave this. This is a great day for ISIS, and this is a great day for Assad. And shame on everyone who's supporting this. Right. And I'm sorry this is not the topic, but I just couldn't come out here today and not say this.
No, it's very important.
So I'm going a little bit rogue.
No, it's very important because you're mad at Trump. So, me and Joy Behar, it's very important because what you're saying is it's very important. We need to be in war. We need to be in war. This one says, federal judge rules Trump must turn over his tax returns to Manhattan DA, but Trump has appealed. So now they're trying to, that's basically the whole thing. I don't really want to cover that. Here's my thoughts on that. This is just simply another element of a smear Trump campaign. IG Bar, the IG Bar reports coming out soon on the Dems and their involvement with the illegal spying. And this is why the federal judge rules Trump must turn over his taxes. They are going for anything and everything they can to smear Trump right now and to discredit him in every way. Because there is a bunch of information that hopefully comes out. I am not holding my breath on this. I feel like if it does come out, I will be so happy, man. If it does come out and they show what a bunch of crap that actually has been taking place, with this, with the Democrats and the actual collusion, right, and the actual spying and the actual breaking of the Constitution and what they did to Trump. If it really does come out, God bless it. I will really hope to God it does. I just can't hold my breath thinking that it's actually going to. I feel like, and that's just my pessimistic side of me, the pessimism in me, that I really don't know if it'll actually work itself out. I feel like there's just, the deep state runs it. They run everything, and we're, until something major happens, I just don't know. I don't know. Kind of interesting little article. Ilhan Omar is getting a divorce because she is a... That scared me first.
Are you separated from your husband? Are you dating somebody?
No, I am not.
No. Oh, no, I am not. No, I'm definitely not. In August, she shut down questions about cheating accusations in this WCO interview.
I have no interest in really allowing the conversation about my personal life to continue, and so I have no desire to discuss it.
She had no desire to discuss it because she was. She wasn't cheating on her first husband, which was her brother. She was actually cheating on her baby daddy's, her baby daddy, her actual husband, with this dude up here, who was married to a 53-year-old doctor who left his wife recently and to be with her. And so she is just one absolute, shining example of an ethical, honest person that we should trust. So yeah, Representative Omar first filed for divorce from her father of 3 kids, claiming the marriage is irretrievable amid allegations that she had an affair with the D.C.-based political consultant Tim Minett. The freshman congressman filed a split from the husband, Ahmad Hershey, on Friday in Minnesota state she represents. The Post has learned, I emphasized that wrong because that video came on and it threw off my groove. Omar filed on her 37th birthday, according to the U.S. House of Representative Archives. Omar and Hershey were married in a religious ceremony in 2002. The two separated in 2008, then legally remarried in 2018 when she was running for her office. All of a sudden, she had to get right in the political eyes, so she gets married, right? She makes it legit. There's been an irretrievable breakdown of our marriage relationship, the court documents filed in Minnesota say. Omar said neither partner is seeking an order of protection. She asked that the court grant them joint and legal physical custody of their 3 minor children. She also asked that the court determine child support to serve the minor children's best interest and award the marital property as the court may deem just and equitable. In August, the Post was first to report that D.C.-based doctor Beth Minett had filed a divorce from her husband, Tim Minett, alleging that he was carrying on an affair with Omar. All the while, Omar's campaign fund was paying Tim Minett's firm for work, including travel, to the tune of since 2018, the dude's made $230,000, something like that. Conservative watchdog groups have filed complaints with the Federal Election Commission over this money transfer. Not to mention that she actually committed immigration fraud, right, by marrying her brother just to get him into the country. This chick is such a fake. She is a lying piece of crap. And it has nothing to do, you don't like brown people. Give me a break. That has nothing to do with this. She's an absolute out of her mind, crazy ass leftist that is a completely unethical and is a complete piece of camel turds for Muhammad Allah Snakbar. You still here? Anyways. Since the time of Minett's departure from the marital home, Miss Minett began a negative campaign against Mr. Minett, seemingly in an effort to ruin his career and permanently damage his relationship with William and his stepdaughter, the court paper said. The Minetts have one son together. They were due in a D.C. court Monday, but late Friday the hearing was rescheduled for later this month. According to Beth Minett, divorce papers, the couple separated in April after Tim Minett acknowledged that he was in a romantic relationship with Omar. Defendant met Representative Omar while working for her, the document states. Although devastated by the betrayal and the deceit that preceded his abrupt declaration, plaintiff told defendant that she loved him and was willing to fight for the marriage. Defendant, however, told her that was not an option for him and moved out the next day, the paper said. Minett married in 2012. Yeah, so I'm telling you what, that is, she's just a piece of crap, man. Just, and we do a parody. So anyway, everybody, you guys have a wonderful night. Thank you for hanging out. This was just kind of a off-the-cuff stream to get some stuff out there and to check out my multi-platform streaming. And until next time, it's SJG Perspective without fear or animus. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks, guys. Bye.